Welcome to the SMTA Citroen C1 Cup at Knockhill, and Ryan Smith and Emily Glanville. Emily's first front row off the grid here, of the year I should say, with John Duncan making our, well, we're going to say welcome return to racing, but not a welcome return to the C1 Championship, because this is his first time out. We've also got Ryan Dunn, Stephen Morrison, Elliot Laithwaite, and we're already under starters orders. 5-second board goes out. Lights on the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. Full complement of lights. Cloudy skies. Racing down towards Duffus Dip we go for the Scottish Motor Trade Association C1 Cup. And a good grid of cars as we all head down. 15 cars in total. And hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen, because this could be quite tight at the first corner as we go on board with Emily Glanville. But Emily gets Ryan Smith across the nose of her there and down through Butchers. Emily will be delighted with how this is going, because the front row qualifying in this championship in particular really sets you on your way to having a good day. If you don't qualify well, like Tom Denham at the back of the grid there, well, you're on the back foot from the word go. So Emily and Ryan Smith will be pretty happy with how things have gone through qualifying, but they're still going to try and get through these races as we all come through Clark Corner. John Duncan showing very well as well, and well, the rest of the runners and riders, the people who we would expect to be there, are all there as we head round towards the hairpin. Smith still leads from Glanville as they hit the brakes coming into the hairpin. These little C1s, their first year of racing here at Knockhill, and they're giving us some quality racing. The grid has grown tenfold, we could say. It started with a very modest 6 or 7 cars, but we're now up to a proper full grid of cars. 15 cars, look at them all streaking over the start-finish line there, past race control building, and all the marshals on the start gantry as we go underneath the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge into Duffus Dip. Smith leads as they go over the crest of the hill, and as they make their way in towards McIntyre's turning in there, the car already starting to wall about just a little bit, but Ryan Smith, this form is pretty impressive this early on in the day, and Emily Glanville and Ryan Smith have both gapped everybody else in the field. Look at that. That's a comfortable gap if you're Emily just now going up the back straight towards Clark Corner, and then the jockeying for position starts and people start getting a bit keen. Zach Glenn Alcock there using a little bit more of the track than he possibly needed to. But John Duncan comes through Clark Corner, and John, well, he'll be used to one make series. He's a former racer in the Celtic Mini Cooper Cup Championship, Celtic Speed Mini Cooper Cup Championship, but this is the SMTA Citroen C1 Cup. This is a different kettle of fish. Slightly smaller cars, as you can see, and slightly less power than what the Celtic Speed Mini Cooper Cup cars will have. And everybody's been extremely well behaved. A little bit of dust getting kicked up there. That could be one of the Grants, either Lewis or Kyle, as we come up over the hill and in towards Duffus Dip. Big B's in the middle of that as well. Finlay Brunton, car number 13, will need to keep her eyes on Finlay, as Emily Glanville and John Duncan and everybody using quite a lot of the sausage curb at the top of Duffus Dip there, and being quite aggressive with that one as we make their way. There's Finlay Brunton, car 13, we were talking about him. And Big B, he looks about 6'3", 6'4". There's a waved yellow flag there. Somebody's run wide, I would imagine. And do we have a car? Yes, a car rejoins there. And was that Finlay? I'll just hold that back just now, because if it wasn't, I've got that wrong. I will know all about it as the cars make their way up the back straight towards Clark Corner. Once again, 24 flies through our shot there. That's Kyle Grant, one of the Apex tubular concerns. We could say Lewis Grant, the brother, off as well. But Ryan Smith in towards the Knockhill hairpin leads the way as he comes through there. A little bit wide of the apex. Emily Glanville, John Duncan, they were dead on as they went through there. James McCracken, Finlay Brunton, Kyle Grant, Stephen Morrison, Kieran Preedy, all flashing through the shot as well, and people getting a little bit close for comfort. Tom Denham, though, who we saw at the last meeting, Tom was almost on for a podium, but things not working for him just today. Glenn Alcock, thankfully, with his wheels on the ground and windows in the car, not upside down as we saw him at the reverse direction meeting. But Glenn, loving his motorsport and a welcome addition to the championship and the paddock. As 24 goes through, followed quite swiftly there. Yeah, 24 Kyle Grant. He's going to have to get his heels on here because things are happening in front of him and he can't let that gap. You can see he's got 2 cars directly ahead of him, then a big gap up that back straight. And this is something that we're not used to seeing in one make series. These things are normally extremely close from start to finish. The cars fly around in a big pack as Denham slides up the inside and makes a good clean overtaking manoeuvre there. But the pack is pretty much spaced out with Raymond Davies right at the very back in car number 28. Glanville's now coming under increased pressure from John Duncan. John Duncan in the 88 car. And we've also got Ross Dunn in the 888 car, not to be confused with that. The cars don't look anything like each other, so I should say that. But 88 and 888, a good assortment of numbers in this race series. In towards toughest dip, Glanville. Emily will be desperate for this first podium. She will not want to roll over and let John take that podium away. Well, she's still on the podium, even if John goes past. But second's always better than third. I mind you, first always better than second as well. And right now, Ryan Smith holds that as he goes over the crest of the chicane and lands on the exit and makes his way up the back straight. Glanville now under increased pressure from John Duncan. John Duncan really will be able to start moving about in the mirrors of Emily Glanville just enough to possibly upset her just a little bit as this race draws on. Through Clark Corner go the pursuing pack. Kieran Preedy in the middle of that as well. And Stephen Morrison as well, car number 31, the silver car, as Smith leads in towards the hairpin. And through comes in. Look at that's a big gap, and he'll be pretty happy with that. Emily looks like there maybe is a slight bit of defensive driving happening now from that number 74 car and the howl of tyres. As we go to a brand new camera, that is one of our Rockstar cans on the bridge, and that is a camera looking back towards the start line. And look at those moody skies we've got above Knockhill as well. Dry, but pretty moody skies, we're going to have to say that. A great view of the Firth of Forth in the other direction just now, back over towards Edinburgh. But the SMTA Citroen C1 Cup being led by Ryan Smith from Emily Glanville, and there John Duncan in car 88 as they go down through the dip of Butchers, then the climb over the crest of the chicane. It's like a leap of faith through there. I would imagine these little cars are probably flat out with maybe just a hint of a lift to try and get the car to change direction as you come over the crest of the hill. Although the drivers can correct me at any point they feel free. Ross Dunn not out of this one yet, is he? Ross Dunn no, and James McCracken in 77 has come to play as well in 4th, 5th position, but nobody has an answer right now for 94 Ryan Smith. Emily again searching for that apex. It is there, but the line she's taken through the hairpin is not compromising her or costing her any speed as McCracken goes through with Grant on his tail, and in Big B Finlay Brunton, car number 13, chasing on as good as he possibly can, but to no avail. Right in the slipstream. I don't know what type of slipstream a C1 gives. However, Finlay Brunton, Big B, trying to get as much as he can as Emily Glanville throws caution to the wind and careers over the top of Duffus Dip through Leslie's. Brunton got past, a good manoeuvre there. Finlay Brunton brave on the brakes going in towards Duffus, slides past the number 24 car of Kyle Grant, and Kyle Grant takes a whopping big hunk of sausage curb on the inside of McIntyre's, and that will upset the exit of the corner for him as he goes up and over the chicane now. So Brunton with eyes on the back of James McCracken now, car 77, and what can he do to get that car? Well, what you want to do, see a car, catch the car in front and pass it, but that's easier said than done. Racing driver's mentality, that's how it should work. As Smithy comes through the hairpin, there's a manoeuvre from John Duncan, he's up the inside. Emily Glanville saw that coming, she's hanging on to the outside though. So has Emily given herself enough of a fighting chance round the hairpin? Can she hold that up the main straight? No, she has to tuck in behind is the answer, and that is allowing Ross Dunn up towards the back of them. McCracken still holds off Brunton, holds off Grant, and 31 car goes through there. That was Stephen Morrison, and Stephen Morrison has with all that battling in front of him just edged ever closer as the marshals at McIntyre's turn 3 look on. And the C1s, I believe the marshals and the spectators are enjoying this racing. It's great to see so many cars on the grid, and look at that, Finlay Brunton already all over the back of car 77, James McCracken, as they go through the chicane, and all the floppy bollards still in place. Good driving from the Scottish Motor Trade Association Citroen C1 Cup drivers as they respect the track limits. No big clouds of dust, no gravel in the exit of corners. Everybody behaving themselves, and 31 Stephen Morrison increasing the pressure now as he come through Clark Corner. But Emily Glanville actually holding that position from John Duncan, so I was mistaken as I watched those cars go up over the crest of the hill, and John Duncan now coming under increasing pressure from Ross Dunn. Ross Dunn, as we see a retirement going through there, that's Lewis Grant, car 44. Lewis Grant goes through the medical compound back into the panic, and that is the end of that. Side by side, that was Finlay Brunton side by side underneath our Beatson's Building Supply Bridge, and he was going past McCracken. We come back with Glanville and John Duncan. John Duncan, he's having to look forwards and backwards quite a lot now, because Emily Glanville, extremely racy this weekend in race number 1 for the SMTA Citroen C1 Cup, and holding off John Duncan as they go up the back straight. Then from John Duncan, John's got a lot of pressure from Ross Dunn. Then Brunton got past McCracken. So Finlay Brunton managed to flex those big 6'6" muscles in that car. He gets bigger every time I talk about him, doesn't he? Big B will be happy with that one. And Kyle Grant just off the back just now. Now he was on his own. Where was Stephen Morrison? Did I miss Stephen Morrison going through the shot as Ryan Smith comes through the hairpin? And look at this, these 3 cars all arrive at the hairpin together and accelerate up the main straight. If anything though, Ross Dunn looked like he got a better line through the hairpin, possibly carrying just a little bit more speed. Ryan Smith will be looking in his mirrors, absolutely in love with this race. It will feel like a long race though, I will admit to that. For these 3 battling over 2nd, 3rd and 4th, it'll probably feel like quite a short race after it, because when you're in the heat of the battle, the race goes very quickly as they come through. Les, as we look back to see McCracken slide underneath Brunton at the apex, and then a lonesome Kyle Grant. And where has Stephen Morrison gone? We've kind of lost track of him on that last lap. But McCracken, that car doesn't have a turbo, but I bet he wishes it did. Goes through Butchers and over the crest of the chicane, or a bigger turbo I should say, as they come through the chicane and up the back straight towards Clark Corner. There is car 31, that is Stephen Morrison there. Stephen Morrison goes up the back straight, and he's got Kieran Preedy, behind him as we go on board on Glanville. Under attack now from Dunn. In fact, Dunn's got past the pair of them as they come in towards the hip, and Emily needs to be strong on the brakes here. Dunn's closing in. We go back to the leader when we need to be looking at that battle for 2nd place. And side by side, oh, beautiful little kiss with the mirrors. Folded in the mirrors, Smithy takes a checker flag. It's a victory for Ryan Smith. The battle towards the line goes the way of Ross Dunn, from John Duncan, and Emily Glanville misses out on the podium by an absolute whisker. Less than 1/10 of a second. 300th of a second. Smith from Duncan with Emily Glanville. James McCracken in 5th place. Sees Finlay Brunton, Kyle Grant, Stephen Morrison, Kieran Preedy and Elliot Luthwaite come home in 10th place. What a cracking Scottish Motor Trade Association Citroen C1 Cup race number 1.
So John Duncan, congratulations, 3rd place. It's nice to see you back, but in something a little bit more sedate than the Mini.
Yeah, it's a bit more relaxed pace. It was still a fantastic race. It was really good fun. It was a last minute opportunity for us to drive the car this weekend, and being the championship coordinator, I was keen to experience it. It was brilliant. That was one of the better races I've ever had. That's been 3 years of Minis. It was fantastic.
They had a right good battle with Emily. She just wasn't letting you through at all.
No, she drove really well. I had to start having a go towards the end because Ross was obviously closing in, so I had to do something about it. I did say to Emily I wouldn't do anything daft, which I don't think I did, but she might disagree with me. I'll find out in 10 minutes. But it was just brilliant. I think David just told us we were 0.3 of a second, covered the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place over the line. Ace, loved it.
You can't get any closer racing than that.
No, it was great. I'm so hoping for more this afternoon as well.
Perfect, well best of luck. Thank you. Oh, you came out of nowhere.
Yeah, was behind John for most of the race in 4th, and then I sort of realised that laps were counting down, and then I seen Emily get wide out of Clark's, and I seen John go for it, and then it was on to the last lap, and the exact same happened again. I just managed to get a run down the inside, and then it was a late lunge at the hairpin, wing mirror in, and then it was just a straight blast up to the hill. I had no idea if I was 2nd, 3rd or 4th, but to get 2nd, ecstatic. Really
It was a long drag out of the hairpin, shall we say, in one of those little cars.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Good. Well, same again this afternoon, or even?
Hopefully I try and get first this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. And Ryan, race 1 winner, you checked out early.
Yeah, that was kind of the plan, but you know, racing sometimes doesn't go to plan. I didn't get the best of starts. Emily stuck around outside the Duffus, and I had to kind of make a bit of a lunge to get back. But after that, I kind of felt I had the pace to kind of pull away, and I saw Emily and John kind of holding each other up, so I thought that was my chance. And yeah, it was a nice uneventful race for a change.
Yeah, so it was just head down and straight
Yeah,
forward.
that was the plan. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's maybe a little bit more, less sedate for you in race 2.
Yeah, I think the weather's maybe going to take a bit of a change, so yeah, we'll see.
Good. Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, race number 2 for the Scottish Motor Trade Association Citroen C1 Cup. And what we should say, a little footnote to the end of race number 1. We had a new lap record set by Finlay Brunton. He done a 1:11.056. Big B will be pretty happy with that one. And that lap record is going to stand for the rest of this race meeting, because look at the weather conditions we are faced with now. Yes, not the greatest. The grid, well, it looks like this. It runs how the finishing order was from race number 1, with Ryan Smith on pole, from Ross Dunn with John Duncan and Emily Glanville, James McCracken, Finlay Brunton, Kyle Grant, Stephen Morrison, Kieran Preedy, Elliot Luthwaite, Tom Denham all the way down in 11th, with Kenny Dock, Glenn Alcock and Raymond Davies bringing up the rear of the field. And Lewis Grant, well, let's hope Lewis Grant can get any issues he had fixed and back on track and where he should be. Right now he's on the very last position on the grid, and I can't see him as we look through the graphics there. No. The 30-second board, the rain lights are on. Those angry, grumpy, moody skies have wetted the track. They've made it a bit more slippy now, so let's see how we get on. The 5-second board goes out. The Beatson's Building Supply bridge will light up. There we go. 1 light, 2, 3, 4. A full complement of lights. We hold our breath. And we're racing down towards Duffus Dip from our new bridge cam. And it's a decent start from the front row, but it looks like it's Dunn who's going to hold that one as they go in towards Duffus Dip. Ross Dunn in the silver 888 car, and alongside him we've got number 88 and 74. That's John Duncan and Emily Glanville. Oh, so close, side by side through Leslie's. John Duncan up the inside of Emily Glanville now manages to make that play stick. And Emily has to just say, OK, John, after you. It's Ross Dunn, though, who leads as they go over the chicane. Glanville will be absolutely desperate to try and get that podium, which she missed out on by 0.03 of a second in race number 1. And everybody managing to stay on the track and up the back straight, but Dunn leads through Clarks from Duncan, Glanville, Smith, the pole man, down to 4th on the first lap, and he will not be terribly happy about that situation as we head round towards Clarks, or round from Clarks through Hislops in towards a rather gloomy looking hairpin. But this is a great leveller. Let's see who's got a wet setup. Let's see who's got good car control. And, well, out of the hairpin just now, Dunn goes. And, oh, Tom Denham doing the old shuffle on the steering wheel through there. Manages to get the car onto the inside, but losing a couple of positions. Car number 21, that's Kieran Preedy. Sticks it to him as we go over the crest of the hill, past the start gantry cars, flashing past race control and heading down towards turn 1 at Knockhill here. Denham on the inside, they was trying to make that manoeuvre stick as he goes in towards Duffus Dip, but that's quite far down. We possibly won't pick that up. The camera will follow in towards McIntyre's, Ryan Smith and Big B Finlay Brunton, and then we've got James McCracken behind him, and then car 31, that is Stephen Morrison. There's car 21, Kieran Preedy, and just ahead of one of the Grant cars, that sideways on the exit curb there, that was Finlay Brunton. Oh, Morrison even wider, and he manages to just hold that one as he bounces up the back straight, but that's going to lose him all sorts of time, and then he's going to join Clarks with dirty, muddy tyres, but manages to hold a decent place, not lose too much, and through they go heading towards the Hairpin. Kenneth Dock in there as well in the car number 6. But it's Ross Dunn who leads coming in towards the hairpin, but John Duncan looking pretty ominous. He is a bit of a wet weather man, and he knows how to get things done. A lot of success in the Celtic Speed Mini Cooper Cup, a lot of success. He knows what to do, he knows how to put a good championship and win one and put it together. As Tom Denham leaves the hairpin there, something must have happened in front of him there with those two cars. Denham about to get two cars in the one straight. He's getting squeezed over towards the inside white line, and we need to see how big the things in that driver's seat really are now as we come back towards Duffus Dip with the leaders. Tom Denham very much in the mix as we see a beautiful little oversteer moment for Ross Dunn as he just turns the car in there. The car just floats through McIntyre's turn 3 That was pretty good. Like that. As we come up the back straight towards, watch out Ryan Smith, that's a little bit too much curb there, through the chicane up towards Clark Corner. Car 21, Kieran Preedy, a little bit sideways on the exit of the corner, and Preedy's going to have to watch with that one, because if you get too much of that, you lose momentum. If you lose the momentum, wow, somebody tries to go around the outside of you there, and that was never going to work, was it? In towards the hairpin, it's done from Duncan, from Glanville, and Smith has now woken up after that sluggish start, and he slithers up the damp patch over the wet bits. Then you can see the corner on the way into the hairpin, it kind of holds a bit more water, and that was very, very brave from Smith there, because so easy he could have locked a wheel and the car wouldn't have stopped, and he might have then gone into the side of Emily Glanville, but Emily's held her own on the outside of that corner, and she's managed to still be on the outside though as they going towards Duffus Dip. You have to think though, Ryan Smith is in the better seat here. Yes, he is. He goes up the inside again, once again, over the apex curb, and Emily Glanville now needs to focus on what's happening and really try and get this one in the bag, because she's got Big B, the lap record holder, Finlay Brunton, behind her, and Emily has the pace, very much. So there's a drying line as they go through there. So obviously the temperatures are quite warm. The wipers are still going, whether that's for rain or for spray. But you can see certain areas of the track hold a little bit more water as somebody's a huge moment through chicane, and off he goes. That's Kyle Grant. Slide one way. Massive, massive bit of lift off oversteer, and it comes back the other way. He did try and hold that one though, but it wasn't to be. So a non-starter for Lewis Grant. And Kyle Grant, can you get out of there? Because that's a horrible place to be sitting. Trust me, been there before. And when the rest of the cars come flying through the chicane, it is not nice. As John Duncan goes to the front, John Duncan makes a power manoeuvre at the hairpin. He gets himself to the front ahead of Ross Dunn. And then Ryan Smith and Emily Glanville. And yeah, that man once again, Finlay Brunton, as they go up the straight. And the safety car lights are on. So whether there's no marshals on the outside of that post to get that car pushed out the gravel, the safety car looks like it's possibly being scrambled. We'll watch the marshals posts for flags and boards coming out, but right now we have a waved yellow flag there, because that is warning the drivers at the next corner. There'll be two of those flags waving, and we should see that any second now. On the inside, double waved yellow flags. The driver looks like he's out the car. Ooh, and that's parked in a horrible, horrible place as we go up the back straight. Ignition looks like it's possibly still on. The driver, I think, is out the car. We definitely saw people walking away from it anyway, but Kyle Grant will not have been wanting to sit in that. As we come through Clarkson, have those cars all slowed down at a reduced pace? Do we have that safety car out? Because I'm pretty sure the clerk of the course will be not too happy with where that car's sitting in the gravel as we come into the hairpin. Yes, and I would say that John Duncan very much now backed out of it completely. Waved yellow flags, and we went past the safety board on the way in towards the hairpin near the safety car board. So we will come through the hairpin, and the safety car will be on track with its lights flashing. There we go. And up the main straight goes behind. Is that a lovely Jaguar? I believe it could be. Not the best at spotting modern cars. If race cars, yes. Road cars, a little bit off for that one. But John Duncan goes over the crest of the hill. I'm pretty sure you're all happy now I said that. John Duncan in the lead in the number 88 car from Ross Dunn, Ryan Smith and Emily Glanville. With Finlay Brunton managing to wriggle free from James McCracken, and the rest of the gang, Preedy, Denham, Doc, Alcock, Morrison, Lithwaite and Davies now with both Grants out of the race. The lights are off the safety car, and here they come. John Duncan has made this one work for him. The safety car will pull in, and look at the nice big lead he's got. He will not believe what's happened behind him, for he has come from the Celtic Speed Winnie Cooper Cup, and that doesn't happen. So everybody's been just a little bit sleepy on that restart, and away we go. John Duncan with the lead and possible race win in his hand. Having said that, there's still a fair bit of racing to go here, and he's got to try and hold on to that car in very slippery conditions. As we go over the crest of the hill, the race distance will be increased by 2 laps after that safety car, so we've gone from 10 laps to 12 laps. Let's hope they've got enough fuel in the cars. I'm pretty sure they will have. Emily Glanville, lights on. And you can see how dark it is now. The lights actually having quite a big effect on the back of the car in front, and that's Ryan Smith, who Emily chases over the crest of the hill. Oh, what's happened there? Oh, there's somebody spinning off into the gravel. Thankfully, the car doesn't dig in and go upside down, but that is a big moment, and that is Raymond Davies. He has a big spin coming through the top of Duffus Dip. And yeah, maybe wind that electric window down, let the smell get the car, first gear and away you go. Because when you go off at Duffus Dip and land down there, that's a proper spin. The SMTA Citroen C1 Cup cars come through Clark Corner and head towards the hairpin, and it's car number 88, and that's a very wide line through the hairpin. You can see there's just a little bit of water lying on the track down there, so making it a little bit tricky to stop on. Hence the reason that overtaking manoeuvre that Ryan Smith did earlier on in the race when he went over that big wet patch and went past Emily Glanville, even more impressive now we see it. As the cars make their way up over the crest of the hill, John Duncan coming under increasing pressure from Ross Dunn. John Duncan looks pretty strong through this part, so it's maybe just the hairpin where he is a little bit, shall we say, lame. Finlay Brunton's drifted off the back. Big B has been left from Emily Glanville. Somebody else goes off. Oh, big spin takes it the floppies. Car 31, and somebody went exit stage left out of our camera shot. That's Stephen Morrison in the grass. Where's the other one? There you are. Oh dear. Cuddled up next to a tyre wall. Not the greatest thing to have happen, is it? We'll get out of there. Is that Elliot left? Yes, it is. Young Elliot goes back onto the track. Should just come towards the camera, Elliot. You could have missed out that corner, but Stephen Morrison having a big spin there, and I've got to say I think Elliot just had to lift out of that one. And as we say, exit stage left. Now, can John Duncan this time get through the hairpin? Yes, he can. That's a lot better. But look at the cars all together. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Emily Glanville right on the back of Ryan Smith, and she smells a podium. Ryan Smith, well, can he get another win? Can he make it a double win? What am I saying? Can Ryan Smith? Yeah, can Ryan Smith make it a double win? And can Ross Dunn get onto the podium? Yeah, as Fiona Wallace says, wow, you came from nowhere. And that was a bit of a compliment, because he did come from nowhere in race number 1. But the cars all streak over the top of Duffus Dip. 1, 2, 3, 4, then a gap back to 5th place. Finlay Brunton as they go over all the debris which other cars that spun have laid down. And there's these two cars. That's McCracken, who comes through in the number 77 car, chased by Kieran Preedy. And behind them we've got Tom Denham and Kenny Dock. McCracken with the wiper on front and back, just to try and see where Preedy is and what the attack is going to be. And they need to both watch out for Tom Denham. Big gap behind Tom Denham though, until we do get Kenny Dock, and we're not even going to pick Kenny up on the screen, because we just saw Finlay Brunton flashing through Clark's, and there's these guys, 3 guys come through Clark's, you'd say. But then we come back to the hairpin, and look at this, in towards the hairpin. We go on board with Emily Glanville. Emily turns on. Oh, Ryan Smith makes a mistake and runs wide through the turning apex point of the corner, and that says thank you very much. Emily Glanville says a little bit of contact on the exit of the corner, and Emily gets up alongside. Now she's on the plum seat as they come over the crest of the hill. Smithy's on the outside. That's not the desired place. And Emily, well, the way she's racing this weekend, I have to say she will take that position all day in towards turn 1 Duffus Dip, and she does. So Glanville capitalises on the error which Ryan Smith made at the hairpin there. Just looked like the car jumped from underneath him, and it kind of went a little bit horrible towards the apex. He's trying to cut back through Butchers, but Emily has enough momentum on that car to go through there as Duncan comes through from Dunn. Then a bit of a gap. That little battle with those two split that pack. It's gone from 4 cars down to a group of 2 twos. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. And this SMTA Citroen C1 Cup race has come alive towards the end of it. Now Glanville on that podium, and Finlay Brunton, well, Big B can only watch as the guys and girls ahead of him have their fun, and he is in a little bit of no man's land. And Tom Denham looks like he's made up a good bit of ground further back as we come into the hairpin. Oh dear, John Duncan this time makes a mistake, and that's a big mistake from John Duncan. Didn't expect that to happen. Opens the door. We've got to say opens the door and lets Ross Dunn just stroll through to take the lead. So Dunn from Duncan, from Glanville, from Smith. It's all changed in these last 2 laps, so the hairpin still proving pretty tricky for these drivers, and not letting them have any respite towards the end of this race as the wipers still come on, because the rain is still falling pretty hard here at Knockhill in these damp, gloomy conditions, although it is pretty warm as Dunn comes through McIntyre's. He would not believe what happened in front of him at the hairpin there. He will not be expecting John Duncan to be making an error like that, and John Duncan will be biting the top of that steering wheel right now, trying everything he possibly can to get back to where, well, kind of like that, what Finlay Brunton is doing there, maybe trying a little bit too hard. But John will not be happy with himself And watch out, the comeback could be on, but he's leaving it very, very late in the race as they all come through Clark Corner. Head towards the hairpin. McCracken still holds off Preedy and Denham, and here we go. Done from Duncan. Oh, John Duncan, I thought he was going to try and send that up the inside, but it wasn't to be. These little narrow tyres, they cut through the water very well, but that could have been John Duncan's chance here. He should have had a shot of that as he come up towards the checker flag. It's going to be Ross Dunn who takes the victory from John Duncan. Emily Glanville gets a podium. Cracking stuff here, considering it's also the SMRC Ladies' Day. We get a lady on the podium with Ryan Smith, Finlay Brunton, James McCracken, Kieran Preedy, Tom Denham all coming through the shot as well. Fabulous Scottish Motor Trade Association Citroen C1 Cup race number 2. Let's hand down to Fiona Wallace for some post-race interviews.
So Emily, it's your first podium. How does that feel?
Oh, spectacular, and to do it on Ladies' Day just makes it even better.
I know, just showing the ladies how it's done.
Yeah, oh absolutely. Only girl on the grid in the C1 Cup, so hopefully off the back of today we'll have some more.
Yeah. You're lost for words, aren't you?
I am. My cheeks. When I saw the checkered flag, I just couldn't believe it. I was so in the zone, I never even saw the last lap board, so I just screamed.
I did hear that you were totally in the zone when you went down into Holden Bay, so it obviously worked well for you.
Yeah, I've really, just the last sort of this round and towards the end of last round, I've really got my head together and I'm feeling in a great mood. I'm really enjoying myself and I've just got my confidence back, and I think that's just what it takes. So
good, well it's so nice to see you with a smile on your face. Well done again.
Cheers.
Well, JD, have you enjoyed your return to racing?
Yeah, magic day. Really glad to be a part of it today. 2 really, really good races. Disappointed obviously not to take the win, but it was my own fault. Went into the hairpin on the second last lap and just locked up. Don't know if they've got ABS or not, but we'll find out. But delighted for Ross taking his first win. That's great news for the championship. I think that blows it wide open now, so I'll be looking forward to seeing the rest of the season. I'll be sitting it out though.
You've enjoyed driving that car, because every time you went past the pit lane it was a beep beep on the horn.
Just like the novelty of having a horn in a race car, it's great. I had the radio on as well.
I did wonder, was it not Kill FM?
It was. It's quite handy. You can hear what's going on behind you.
Well, congratulations once again. It was nice to see you back.
Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you. Ross Dunn, first win in the C1s. How does that feel?
Excellent, almost speechless. Fantastic. Another great race. Off the start, Ryan got a bit of a wheel spin and managed to get the lead into the first corner, and it was just massive pressure. John was right up my tail the whole race, and then he got past me, and then I just thought, keep this in the road and just try and get another second on a podium. It would be great. First time the car's been on a podium in the same race weekend, so more than happy with that. And
you must have put the pressure on John for him to make that error at the hairpin.
yeah, well, he was saying I think it was more a problem with his brakes, but yeah, when I seen that I thought, right, I've got to go for it. And then the last lap board came out and I thought, keep it cleaner. I made a wee mess down at McIntyre's, and that got him right up again. I thought just hold it, and I managed to hold it through the hairpin and just up to the flag. So ecstatic. So again, just big thanks to everybody that's helped me out so far. Strictly Gearboxes, BPS, Hellcat, and everybody else that's came to support today. It's really appreciated. So thank you.
Well, well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So the racing is over today for the SMTA Citroen C1 Cup. We'll see you next time for more action-packed racing here at Knockhill Racing Circuit.